What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Should you buy the iPhone XR or the iPhone 11? Now, before we get into the contents of this video, the iPhone XR is going to run you $599 to start. That's actually a price decrease over last year. It's like down by 50. It's not like 150 bucks. Now, the iPhone 11 is actually at $699. So this is actually cheaper than the starting price of the XR. And if you go up to the 128 gigabyte model, that's also cheaper than the 128 gigabyte model of the XR last year. And the 256 gigabyte model of the iPhone 11, which is the maxed out storage, is actually cheaper than the 256 gigabyte model of the XR of last year. So let's get into the first topic, which is going to be design and the body. Now, when it comes to the body, these are practically identical. They're both using 7000 series aluminum along the edges. So what that means is that they will feel pretty similar. Now, in terms of the weight, they're both 194 grams here. One thing you should keep in mind, though, is this is IP67 water and dust resistant. This is IP68. So the iPhone 11 may be slightly more water resistance for those of you who do get your phone a little bit wet. Now, in terms of thickness, they're both the same 8.3 millimeters thick. So these phones are a little bit chubby. They're not the thinnest phones out there, but they're not thick. Come on, 8.3 millimeters, really? Like, that's pretty thin. So overall, I'm going to say that these phones are not quite as sleek as the iPhone 11 Pro, the iPhone XS series phones. But still, for the money, I think many people are really going to still enjoy both of these. In terms of the design on the rear, though, you do see the differences there with the camera. We have dual camera here for the iPhone 11 and one camera. Now, that is a wide angle dual camera, and you can see it's kind of got that square, kind of like what we see on the iPhone 11 Pro. It's kind of like right there. Also, they moved the Apple logo down and they removed iPhone. So there's no iPhone here, no iPhone badge at the bottom of this. But you can see off to the right side, they do have the power button in the same location, SIM cards in the same location, and you can see down here, speakers in the same location, Torx screws, lightning port, volume rockers, silent switches, antennas. Everything is literally almost identical. So whether you're buying one of these really is going to come down in terms of design to the color choice as well as that camera. Do you like that camera? Do you like the Apple move that logo down? Because other than that, they're basically the same phone. Okay, so these both have liquid retina 6.1 inch LCD displays. Now, they're both IPS. Neither of them are a high resolution, though. They both have 326 ppi, which I think is enough to call it retina, but it's not really a super high, 400 plus resolution display. But most people seem to not really care about that at all, as Apple went on to sell like over 40 million iPhone XR. So that doesn't seem to bother most people. They both have 19:9 aspect ratios, which is basically in line with the other iPhones. And they're both 625 nits of brightness. So the brightness is actually exactly the same. They both have scratch resistant displays and of course oleophobic coatings with these iPhones. Now, one thing you'll notice about the iPhone 11 is that it has its own new wallpapers, as did the iPhone XR of last year. So if we go back here, iPhone 11 has its own new set of wallpapers here. That's a little bit different, but that's not really about the display quality itself. The iPhone XR also had its own wallpapers last year if you go with a certain color. So they got their own little wallpapers, but this one has HDR10 support. The iPhone XR does not. This has wide color gamut and 120 hertz sensing display. This one also wide color gamut, 120 hertz sensing. Now that HDR10, you're probably not going to use it all that often. So basically, let's call these displays exactly the same. So when you buy these phones, don't expect getting the 11. Oh, I'm getting a better display. It's $100 more than the iPhone XR. You'd be totally wrong. The good thing about both the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11's display, though, is that they both give you True Tone, which is a nice high-end feature. I feel like it does adjust the color of the display to help it be easier to read in different lightings. In addition to that, they both have dark mode with iOS 13, so that gives them a nice dark look. And yes, even though it's LCD, they still look rather nice. So if we go to Safari here, I don't think even with the 326 ppi, you're gonna have a big issue with it. Most people didn't really care. The text still looks plenty sharp. Viewing angles are good here for both devices, and I think the iPhone 11 has been airing a little bit warmer than the display on the iPhone XR, but other than that, I'm not seeing a big deal of difference. Now, if we go to YouTube here, you can see watching a video. Let's watch a Nick Ackerman video really quickly here. you can see that both phones actually do still have the notch. So they do cut in a little bit, but I'm sure by now most people who are using iPhones have gotten used to this fact about the iPhone, is that it has a notch at this current time. So they do still have those. So keep that in mind. They're not all screen just yet. Okay, guys. So in terms of the software, they're both running the official iOS 13. I believe the 10R might be on 13.1, but still, they both have iOS 13 and the software is identical. Apple doesn't do that thing where you get like different features on the new phone just because it's new in terms of the software. It's basically the same software. The only thing they have to make new is the camera because it's a new camera. So of course they have a few new features in here, like you could change the aspect ratio right from the camera. That's nice. You can also hold down to record. That's a nice touch. We'll get into that with the camera, but other than the camera software, I'm not seeing any difference in software on both of these. So the experience identical there other than the camera software, which has to be tweaked because they added another lens here. So I don't want to go on and on about iOS. We covered it before. It's slick and smooth on both of them, and it's the same experience. Now, when it comes to the performance, A13 here on the right, A12 on the left, so far I have noticed zero performance difference. Like it feels identical in performance. I will run a Geekbench when I do the speed test of these two, but I gotta say overall so far, but really like so far, I'm just not seeing a performance difference between these two phones right here. So if I open up an application, they're gonna open at a very similar time, and day to day, the performance is gonna be very similar. So I think if you're buying one of these phones, I wouldn't buy a different one on the basis of performance. I probably would just get it on the basis of the camera. And if you like the design or the colors a little bit better for the 11, maybe you just want the latest phone with the A13. But really, these phones don't perform really any different. Even though Apple's claiming a little bit better performance, most users are not going to notice this whatsoever. But one thing that is nice is that the iPhone 11 does give you 4 gigabytes of RAM versus the 3 gigabytes of RAM here, which should help a little bit in multitasking when on the iPhone 11 versus the iPhone 10R. Okay, so when it comes to the storage, both of these phones launched with 64 gigabytes of storage. So I don't really like this for the money. I think they should give you a little bit more at like 128 gigabytes of storage. But you know what? I mean, I don't think it's stopping people from buying them. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that don't buy it because of 64 gigs. People are still buying the phone. So if you really like the phone, you like that price, I think you're going to have to work with 64. But for me, it's not enough. It might be enough for you though. And if you're coming from 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes, this is plenty of a jump in storage for you. So keep that in mind. A lot of people in the past have had 16 gigabyte or 32 gigabyte iPhones. So this could be a nice upgrade for them. Okay, so getting on to the moneymaker now, the cameras on these phones. So the iPhone XR launched with a 12 megapixel camera, same one in the iPhone XS, and it does give you some incredible results here. It's a really good camera in the XR. It has really good video quality up to 4K 60 frames a second. Portrait mode is here for people only, but it's there. You have square mode, panoramic mode, and you also have a decent selfie camera that does like 7 megapixels on this phone. Now, I will say that only 1080p video on the front. I say only, but that's pretty decent for probably an iPhone XR buyer. It still can do up to 60 frames a second on the front. Now, on the iPhone 11, here's the big upgrade for the iPhone 11. We have an extra 12 megapixel camera here that's going to give you the ability to go wide on this camera. So you can go a lot wider than you could before. I will say that that wide angle is definitely not as high quality as the standard wide on the iPhone 11, but it's still pretty good. Also, in that wide angle, you could still do video in that wide angle. You could do slow motion in that wide angle as well. And you can do portrait modes on here, and you get a few new features like high key light mono with iOS 13. You got panel modes, and one thing I really like is that you can hold down the shutter key and bring it over and start doing a video right away. That can be pretty neat if you're trying to do a video and photo at the same time. That's going to be pretty nice. Also, if we just swipe up, we can change the aspect ratio on here. That's pretty amazing. I've been waiting for that forever. Also, we have the night mode on this phone as well when taking photos. If it does get dark, it will detect that it is dark out, and you'll have the ability to use a night mode here for the iPhone 11. So there's a really lot of benefits to using this phone right here in the iPhone 11 if you really care a lot about your camera. But at the end of the day, if you're just a casual photographer, it's not like the iPhone 10R is going to suck or something like that. It's a really good camera. So I think you'll be fine with this one as well. It just comes down to how much do you use your camera. Are you just being pulled to the 11 because it's the flashy new thing and then you get home and you're not really using the camera that much? How much are you going to use it? Because this is the big deciding factor. I took a few photos. I didn't take every single type of photo. I'll do that when I do the full camera comparison. But just check out a few of these and let me know which one you think is better. Okay guys, so here is the front-facing video quality of the Apple iPhone 10R. This is basically what you're gonna get. The sun is shining a little bit on me, and overall I think it's quite good. There's some clouds in the background. Let's see how it handles those. And you see it just totally blows those out. So not perfect, but at 1080p I think it's pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the iPhone 11. So here is the front-facing video quality of the iPhone 11. Now this one is in 4K 60, and I could tell you immediately that the angle is wider. So I'm gonna walk in that same place and you can see sun did go down a little bit, but let me turn it around, see how it does with those clouds in the background. And there it goes, kind of gets them right there. Overall, I do think that the iPhone 11 does have a significantly improved front-facing camera. Let me know your thoughts down below. So here is the iPhone 10R from the rear. We are just walking to kind of see how it does with the stabilization. And now let's go ahead and flip over to the iPhone 11 to see how it does with the stabilization. Okay guys, so here is the iPhone 11. We are now walking with this in 4K 60. And the video quality to me looks a little bit better, just a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit more accurate with the colors. Overall though, they're both very good. This is the iPhone 11's video quality. So moving on to battery here for both phones, the iPhone 10R is giving me pretty great battery life here with its a little bit smaller battery on this phone. Now the iPhone 11 is claimed to get up to an hour better battery life, and I can tell you right now I'm already seeing a little bit better battery life. It's very slight, but it's a little bit. We have a 2942 cell in this phone and we have a 3046 cell in this phone. That's the size, or the capacity of the battery life. Now both of these can fast charge. The iPhone 11 can fast charge at 18 watts. This can charge at 15 watts in a fast charge, but neither of those chargers are included in the box, so you might never actually buy that charger. So you are going to get slow charging from the start. They also have glass back, so they do support Qi wireless charging, although I do advise you get a good one if you don't want to hurt your battery capacity. Now, one thing that's nice about both these phones is that in the battery settings, they now have optimized battery charging, and the iPhone 11 has been said that it's going to be a little bit better with the performance over long term with this battery aging. I think it's going to do a really good job in the iPhone 11, but the iPhone 10R is no slouch, and it's not like you were thirsting for more battery life if you were using an iPhone 10R. So I would say this is probably not a deciding factor, but it doesn't hurt that you're getting a slightly better battery life here for the iPhone 11, and it makes it a slightly more compelling option. So let's go ahead and talk quickly now about the audio. The sound that comes out of both of these is very good. They're both stereo speakers. You can still get yourself an iPhone 10R for $599 or $100 less than this phone. However, that's funny. I play it right where I'm talking about the 10R. But yeah, stereo speakers on there. This one does have support for Dolby Atmos, but let's be real. Most people are probably not even going to notice what that is. They're just going to play People are just going to play a video, listen to the audio, and get on with their day. So with that being said, I'm not hearing a huge difference in the sound quality. So audio is pretty similar on both. The headphone jack is not here. Well, there hasn't been a headphone jack for years. Apple probably got you to buy AirPods. You got AirPods already? Let me know. But you do get headphones in the box that do go with that lightning. So that at least that still comes with your iPhone. No dongles though. So if you have headphone jack headphones, you're not getting dongles with either of these. So when talking about the phone call quality, there's a big difference here between both of them. 2x2 MIMO for the iPhone XR is not quite as good as the 4x4 MIMO that you're going to get on the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. However, the call quality on both of them, while they don't have the best reception, when they do have good reception, they have good phone call quality. And I think if you're in a major metropolitan area or anywhere with good service, you'll be just fine. But these aren't the best in the industry, as Apple is using Intel modems once again. So do keep that in mind. They both have solid phone call quality if you have great reception, but I'm not seeing a big jump on the iPhone 11 over the iPhone XR. So in conclusion, is it going to be the iPhone XR or is it going to be the iPhone 11 for you? Well, it's coming down to a few factors. Number one is going to be, of course, the price. Are you willing to pay $100 extra for the cameras? The iPhone XR, I also think, has a little bit more vibrant colors than the iPhone 11, with the vibrant Cora as well as the vibrant, they have the yellow color, the blue. They just were just a little bit more, they popped out a little bit more. I think they're a little bit toned down with that minty green and that lighter purple for the iPhone 11. How much do you care about that wide angle? You've seen some samples in this video. Do you really desire that over the XR? And if you're just that person who's like, well, you know what, I'm just going to get the latest phone. It's an extra $50 to $100 on my carrier. You're going to see the iPhone 11 come down as well. But at the end of the day, in terms of performance, in terms of, the basic core experience, the iPhone 11, in my experience, hasn't been that much better than the iPhone XR. But I do like it more because it has a little bit longer battery life. The iPhone 11 has a little bit more of a fun camera to use. It looks a little bit cleaner without that iPhone logo on there to me. And overall, I think it's worth the extra $100 over the XR if you're willing to go for that. But you'll be fine with the XR if you don't care for a wide angle camera. You don't care about, you actually think the design looks maybe a little bit cleaner with that single camera, and you're just happy with the performance of an A12 because that's a really fast chip. And I don't think that A series chip thing, like where it was so much far ahead of the last version, is happening as strong of a level as it used to. Nowadays, it's more like, hey, they put a new chip in there, and it's still like 10%, 20% faster, but it's not like the A12 is not going to perform well 4 years down the line. It probably will, as you see the iPhone 6s still doing well. So that's it for me. Thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on the iPhone XR, the iPhone 11, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, comment what you want to see down below. And if you got any questions, you're still lost on these phones, drop it in the comment section below. There's a vibrant community here of people that will help you decide which one to get. I will catch you all on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.